The intent of this original painting is to show the audience the appreciation for the spring season. I chose to paint a young person smelling flowers in an open field. You can see that they are in an open outdoor space with lots of new flowers and natural elements starting to grow after the winter has gone. The character in the painting has a slight smile you can see if you look closely enough, almost as a sign of relief that winter has dissipated and new life begins. I chose not to paint in great detail but to use more of a painterly technique and impressionist. I chose natural tones to complement the colors you will find in the spring, such as light green, light yellow, light brown, etc. I chose to make the sky not entirely a bright blue because I felt that would resemble the summer months too much. I wanted to keep it within the theme of spring, so I chose a more overcast sky.
Spring. The first word that comes to mind is the melting snow as that grim cold slowly dissipates, called thawing. The temperature rises, and with it, the birds slowly come. The ice warms up to reveal a very cold pond. I've come to see the birds up above the tree, so majestic, flying sky high up towards the skies, free. Soon they would have a nest, and have children that would also fly high as well. I used to feed them with crumbs on my way to the community center. Oh, what fun! A deer wakes up next to the lakes, its shaking body readying itself to prance and dance along the prairies, next to the overgrown ruins of a very old house, overtaken by nature itself. The flowers blossoming once again, dyed in red and white. My mother once said that each flower represents a blossom of a new life. Science says yes to that, but Mother meant spiritually. As someone makes peace with their past and moves on, just like the seasons, and thus to me, spring is the season of rebirth. To be born anew in the midst of summer melancholy and fall soft sadness of inevitability. So when faced with such peril, we look onwards to the escape, the spring, to be reborn again and start anew, such as the bear who wakes from his slumber, the birds who ran away to the equator and back to run from the grim cold, or even me. I'm one who's born, raised with care and potential, working tirelessly, only to succumb to one's darkness, to another one's icy grip. Again and again, the cycle continues onward in a downward spiral until now. I see those same birds up ahead, circling around the sun. I took a gander at the cabin in the distance. How that same family is doing up top, smiling, laughing. Another rebirth. Maybe, just maybe, it's my turn now. So now I start my rebirth as I step into spring's light.
Winter is a nightmare here.
Tell me about it. It is I who cook.
Yeah, but inside.
Yeah, with a busted thermostat.
Just feed me so that I can be done and I can get out of here.
Can't you just hold it for a few minutes? I'm just fed up. It's me always adjusting to things.
Thank God we survived that day.
Yeah, that was one harsh winter.
Yeah.
My intention for this drawing was to express the beginning of spring. Bees waking up, and cozy blankets still handy for the chilly mornings before things really start to warm up. The title Cozy Beginnings reflect this. I used pastel colors for a gentle background that reminds me of Easter right around the corner, and covered the bee, named Dave, in pollen because I thought he looked extra cute with it and I couldn't resist.
I wanted this piece to be very conceptual. With the theme being spring, I tell this story. From being on my journey as an artist and now becoming a designer, I have had many experiences and have been able to try new things. In the recesses of my heart, there are different twists and turns, almost like the veins in the body. Along these turns are points, moments in time reflecting an experience or a burst of creativity in the timeline of how I have created. This flower represents spring, an aspect of growth, change, and emotions. From the aspect of space that it resides in, to the colors portrayed in its creation. Within the layers of the flower are different leaves and petals, which represent the chaos and struggle throughout the past few years of changing my discipline to being more design-focused than visually as a painter. While the water on the petals resembles the tears of my heart, the longing to be creative this painterly way, bursting from the distortion of creativity. A digital drawing, in a painterly way, resembles a step towards freedom.
My submission reflects my love and the light-heartedness of the season as represented by the sweet storybook-like caricatures of the animals. The scene depicts a newly found couple enjoying the spring weather, and some cute critters spying on them, and going about their spring days. The overall mood being depicted as a light and cheerful afternoon to express the hope seen in the early days of spring, and the wonderful new beginnings that come with it. For this work, I chose to represent the season of spring with animals I associate with spring. Chicks, honey badgers, Highland cows, mice and bunnies depicted in a cute and simplistic manner expressing the innate sweetness and innocence of spring with their bright and warm colors and round silhouettes. I wanted the piece to be reflective of a child's interpretations of spring, as I believe that spring is a season very intertwined with youth and possibility.
The elders say that in the winter, the spirits and the earth go to sleep. That's why we talk about them in the winter, because they're asleep. They won't hear us talking about them in the way that they would in the summer, the spring, or the fall. Winter's a good time for stories. You can talk about them, and they won't come to find you. They won't hear you saying their name. They won't look at you from across the room because they're asleep and they can't hear you. But the spring is important too because you get to welcome them back. You get to wake the spirits up. You get to say thank you. And though you might wish that some of the spirits not return, all of the good spirits return with them. When you see the sprouts breaking through the snow in the spring, also know that the spirits have returned, they've awoken, and they can see you again. It's your ancestors, it's the people who came before you, it's the ones who will come after. They're with you again, they're not sleeping anymore, and it's your time to welcome them back and say thank you for their existence. Remember that before you were here, you were one of them, and long after you're gone from this plane, you'll be one of them too. You never truly leave, nothing ever really is gone. It's just a different form.
When I hear the word spring, I think about the blooming flowers and the loud and calming rain that brings them. Sometimes the rain gets in the way of seeing the beauty of spring, yet it will always bring new, beautiful flowers. My models are wearing blindfolds made of flowers. These represent the thought that beauty can be blind to us even when it is right in front of our eyes. The darker background represents the rain and dark times. Before seeing the beauty, the flowers with the lights show the pathway to seeing this beauty and gives the beholder a light to find their way. The final photo, having a light background, shows that the path has been found and that the beholder can see the beauty, although the blindfold is still on the model, as it shows that there still is more to be found and that they have yet to discover.
Spring is to be held, to feel the golden warmth of skin, to breathe and sink. Spring is to bloom, to make the green stems fight their way from the earth. The gentle caress of spring breathes warmth in the air, the melting of snow, long forgotten frost-bitten earth soothed back to moss-ridden homes for roots to grow. Do you feel the embrace of the sun, bleeding warmth from chest to chest?
By the whispers of the cosmos, I invoke thee, Pale King. Take over this vessel.
Silence.
I can hear my mother's blood-curdling screams from afar. As the thick smoke surrounds me and fills my lungs, I could barely get a word out. Mommy, mommy. I could hear the ambulance coming in a distance. Sir, please find my baby, please. I lost her in the fire. Do you know which part of the building, miss? Around the concession stand, I think. I'm not sure. Please find me. What does she look like? She's 17, 5'4", black girl with a golden necklace around her neck. I'll look now. Not long after the paramedics came, I was found unconscious in the bathroom, and then they took me to the Grand Royal Hotel in Jamaica. Nurse, I'm here for my daughter Sophia. She's 17, 5'4", black girl with a golden necklace around her neck. Yes, she just came in. She was stabbed in the leg by some debris and lost a lot of blood. Do you know her blood type? I think it's AB negative. Would you be willing to do a blood test to see if you're a match? And if you are, you can donate and we'll have the blood on standby during the surgery. Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you. Breaking news. Many people were caught in the fire of the spring equinox celebration that was held at the National Opera House. The royal family of Jamaica also attended the event and was front row watching with their security details. surveillancing. Princess Kai was also injured that night. During the chaotic evacuation of the building, she was separated from her parents and security detail and was almost trampled by civilians. She was rescued by paramedics soon after. More on this news later when we have more details. Thank you. Hours later, the nurse found and told my mother that I was finally out of surgery. Sophia, it's mommy. Sophia? Is that some kind of code name that we're using now, Mother? Nothing but shock was in the room once they saw who they were talking to. The same level of shock was shared between me and the royal family once I was bandaged and they saw who they were talking to. The princess was also wearing a gold necklace that day, while I lost mine during the commotion, and everyone thought it would be common knowledge of what the princess looked like. This was no laughing matter, since more testing found out that the princess was more my mother's daughter than I was. Some say it was a divine intervention from God. Others will blame it on some kind of conspiracy theory. Some may even call it destiny. I call it insanity that should have been corrected many years ago, but due to one person's incompetence, my entire identity, future, and understanding is all one big question mark. We all went home confused and unsatisfied, so we can answer these questions another day. The spring equinox celebration is to celebrate new life, and that day I was given one.
Success matters because you matter.
Hello, my name is Syed and I am student of MAD, M-A-D, Media Arts and Designs at Durham College, Oshawa, Canada. Are you mad? No? Great. I'm glad you are not mad. But it is a very good idea to be in MAD, Media Arts and Design at Durham College, Oshawa, Canada. Welcome. Basically, it's about media and broadcasting. I will talk about why success matters. Success matters because you matter. Your most valuable asset is you're unique. Nobody's like you. You have fingerprints. Does anybody has fingerprints like you? No. You are unique. In order to succeed, you should have good study habits, good health, healthy body, healthy mind, good mental health, sharp mind, smart mind. Seek help from professors and experts. Professors are your most valuable asset. Whenever you have a question, ask them. Durham College has one of the best professors in the world. I'm so happy to be here, just for you. Eye on the prize. Don't worry about the hardships and hurdles you are going through while you are in college. Your eye should be on the prize. You have to be a winner. You have to succeed. Success matters because you matter. Thank you. I love DC. Love it. If you won't, who will? In order to succeed, you have to love DC. Lead the way. If you won't lead the way, who will? Be a leader. Succeed.
When I first saw the theme spring, two things that came to my mind were robins and blooming plants. Although it is not an official beginning, for years I have always celebrated the beginning of spring once I spot my first robin out and about. They are not the most colorful birds, but they are easy to spot by looking for their reddish bellies. Similarly, spring is not the brightest season. It is often outshone by summer. But summer would never come through without spring as its beginning act. I chose the name Fresh Start for this drawing to represent how people often begin to spring up the same as a small plant showered by the sun and rain. We often have our spring cleanings and begin to leave the house more often once the weather becomes kinder to us. These characters have taken this as an opportunity to start a small garden and spend some time together, and the robins have joined in from a distance. My artwork, which is based on the goddess of springtime, Flora, aims to capture the beauty of springtime after the flowers have bloomed. The monochromatic hues represent the sadness that accompanies greenery in the natural world. As another spring arrives, you grow older and time begins to affect you. As an 18-year-old, I find this to be impactful. Flora often has long hair, so I chose to chop it off to start over. Typically, springtime ushers in fresh starts. I sketched greenery in place of flowers. When enough rain and sunlight reach them, it normally sprouts. I cling to the saying, "You can heal with enough love and enough time." Ultimately, this work inspires hope. In the past, hope encouraged me to persevere in the face of adversity. Hope exists in everyone, as long as they are willing to seek it. I hope this piece helps the spectator see beauty in hope and new beginnings.
I've always loved the spring. I love watching its new flowers bloom. I love the change in the weather. Love how the rain washes away all of the impurities from the past season, leaving a clean slate, leaving room for new beginnings. I love when spring starts. New season, new weather, new beginnings, new me. And so every spring, I grow just as the flowers do.
I've never been good at dealing with change. It's never been my strong suit. So instead, I shut it out. Pretend everything is always the same until I can't pretend any longer. That's why I hate spring. I hate the way the weather changes, the way time goes forward and days get longer, the way that the flowers bloom only to die months later. That's why I like permanence. I like things that stay the same. Things that won't one day leave.
That's the thing about spring, isn't it? Everything is changing, moving, never the same as the day before. That's what I love about it. And when the season has passed and all the flowers are gone, you'll still have the memories to hold on to.
Through seasons, we see reflections of our own inherent human concepts and feelings projected by our minds through habitual cognition. Just as these seasons change, so do we, our flesh and minds metamorphosed and tuned to the season. In this piece, the intention has been to capture this very concept as spring blossoms forth from the frostbitten catalyst of winter. We are pulled and grasped by forces outside our control into changing with the season. The destructive, bitter cold of winter tries to hold us back, a toxic relationship trapping us in a state of numbing vulnerability. Equally so, the hand of spring reaches forward, offering sanctity and escape. Regardless of our story, regardless of our emotion, our struggle and our relation to the hand that holds us. We interact with these seasons whether we like it or not, mirrored by how we relate to those around us. As we struggle in the sting of a toxic, cold love, there will always be a hand to pull us free.
Bro, this is beautiful. The weather's okay, but the view's amazing. What do you think?
Not really.
How's everything? Like, your school and family?
Things could be worse.
You want to talk about it?
No, I'm good.
Alright. Come on, let's head out.
I thought we were staying in the car.
I gotta show you something, bro.
Spring is a season that symbolizes new beginnings and starting fresh. Spring reawakens us and brings the world that surrounds us back to life. Spring is nature's season with its bright blue skies, blooming flowers, tender breezes, and animation of new life. Spring paints the colors of the landscapes where we can dream. I created a digital drawing entitled Honey and the Bee, which depicts two of my own original characters, Hutch and Cottons. I was inspired by a song of the same name. An impromptu springtime picnic entices them away from the city and its environment that has kept them captive all winter. They have been eager to enjoy what nature has brought forth. They feel grateful for the friendship they share and the simple joys that warm the heart. The air is refreshing and crisp. The flowers are unfolding around them. The grass feels lush beneath their feet, and the honeybees are busy again. With the song of the birds and the warmth of the sun, spring brings the gift of comfort, optimism, and positivity that awakens the spirit in us all.
I used to resent springtime. You might be wondering why, or not, but let me tell you anyway. A guy once told me that flowers would start falling whenever I would get upset. I asked him why. He told me that they would fall to calm me down. And then I asked, well, who's supposed to throw them, 'cause how else are they supposed to fall? And then he said, I would throw them for you, your brother, your mom, your dad, or your sister. And then I asked again, You'd show up wherever I was in the world and start making flowers fall just to calm me down. He kept quiet for a while, and then he said, "Yes, I would show up anywhere in the world for you. But realistically, I couldn't, but I'd still make it happen, one way or another." So in reply, I said something along the lines of, "I don't believe you. That's crazy." But I did believe him, until I found out that it was all a lie. I was the one lying to keep myself calm because he left me. And then whenever I think of him, I remember how he lied. But guess what? He didn't lie about flowers falling. What he didn't tell me was who would make them fall. It was spring. Spring reminded me of him, that he was gone. The flowers would come back, but he didn't. That's why I used to resent the season, until I realized why he loved it. Because without spring, the flowers wouldn't bloom. And without the flowers, without him, I couldn't either. The Upset Flowers by Rachel Nadine Gonzalez.
To me, spring embodies serenity and beauty after a cold winter. It is when plants and animals alike thrive, and temperatures comfortably rise. I imagine spring sounds like a cool, shaded creek, with aquatic life splashing around and cicadas buzzing from seemingly nowhere. To symbolize this, I decided to create a koi pond in a therapeutic pixel art style. I chose warmer colors with lots of green moss and grass, as well as pink flowers that you would expect to see blooming in the springtime. As temperatures rise, koi fish also become more active, swimming around and exploring their thawed environment. The koi fish in this case serve as a metaphor for how the spring sun can make us feel energized and renewed after the cold winter months. My aim with this digital art piece was to make the viewer feel as though they are inside the painting, surrounded by warmth, almost able to hear the gentle trickle of water over the stones.
Yeah, she was the love of my life.
When you said your last goodbye,
She was gorgeous. I thought we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. But suddenly, she was gone. What do you want? Stop resisting. Aw. Are you gonna cry? Don't cry. Why couldn't you save her? What? Who are you? Huh. You know me so well. This has been going on since she passed away.
If your winter blues aren't over, I'll sit with you until the trees become greener. We'll make sure the dark hues don't come back until next December. Hold my hand, squeeze it tighter, tighter until we drown in the vibrant colors together. It's the season of spring. It's the season of living. Feel the warmth, hear the birds humming. A new chapter is coming.
I feel so happy today. The only sadness that exists is not knowing what caused this happiness of mine. But wherever I look, I find happiness, joy, and smiles. Why my eyes not finding them when I look inside? This endless fall of despair created a pile of blizzard which no shovel could plow. When would it stop? I don't know. I thought I could smile when the spring comes. Everybody else could. But me, where is my spring?
Hey, can I have your apple, please?
Okay.
Hey, my mom told me to give you this. And she also told me to say that the green one tastes better.
I feel so happy today. And I know why.
The intent of this piece is to tell the story of a fairy who returns annually to sketch a bunny waking up from hibernation. The fairy strategically hides over the rock while the small bunny chews on a lucky 4-leaf clover. She sketches the bunny, studying it from afar. When I think of spring, I think of the one time of year when life truly explodes. Everything becomes hopeful and new, emerging from the dreary, damp winter months. I feel the most inspiration around this time of year. Growing up, I believed fairies were a part of spring and that they, too, came out of hiding when the sun made an appearance. If I were a fairy, I would also admire the small parts of life we don't always see, such as baby bunnies awakening from their slumber and having their first meal of the new season. And of course, I would be drawing them. In this illustration, a construction worker is in the midst of taking down an old, abandoned park. However, throughout the decay, he discovers an old, rusty spring rider that resembles a rubber ducky. As he indulges in the simple pleasure of riding the spring rider, the world around him begins to change. Colors become more brighter, and the atmosphere more vibrant, symbolizing his escape from the monotony of work into a realm of childlike imagination. This scene not only shows the worker taking a quick break but also hints a deeper story of finding peace within oneself. In my illustration, I wanted to show how finding joy in unexpected places and embracing playful moments can help us reconnect with our true selves. It's a reminder of the importance of seeking inspiration in the little things of everyday life and embracing our inner child. Spring is the time of new life, as well as new blooms. The painting is of a family of foxes resting soundly in a field of spring-blooming flowers. This represents the new life of spring and the delicate balance of life itself. I aim to picture a snapshot of one of the hectic moments of life. Foxes have a rough life. They are in the middle of the food chain when it comes to carnivora, and often growing up as a fox kit is not easy. They deal with risks of many kinds. Foxes are some of my favorite parts of spring, though, as I often see them on my lawn. I tried to capture one of the moments I have witnessed of them sleeping. The painting is acrylic on canvas. The transition between winter and spring is magical. The cold frozen land is harsh to all who dwell in the forest. Most creatures hibernate and wait for sunnier days. Those brave enough to face the cold may be surprised with something new. One cold winter night, a curious young fawn wandering through the night is the first to see Lady Spring. Lady Spring is the bearer of the season that which she is named after. Intrigued by the melting snow and the reappearance of green lush grass, the fawn approaches coyly. As the young deer walks towards the lady, it feels warmth they have not felt in a long time. Lady Spring welcomes the fawn as the forest embraces her warmth. With the help of her butterflies, Lady Spring uses her magic to bring life to the forest. From the blossom of flowers to the growing leaves, everything that Lady Spring touches grows with love. As we patiently wait for this season, we will welcome with open arms the return of Lady Spring.
The sun's rays beam down on a snowy mountain landscape. The song of spring returns, and winter's icy grip melts away. In a dark, warm den, life begins to stir. 3 grizzly bears slowly awaken from their long hibernation, a mother and her 2 new cubs. Born during the unforgiving winter, confined to their hideout, the cubs are eager to get a taste of the outside. The grizzlies burst out of their lair. Overcome by wonder, the cubs gawked at the bright world laid ahead of them. Mountains kissing the clouds, a shining ball of heat embracing their tiny faces, and a thick forest teeming with opportunity. Circling overhead, eagles and hawks cried out, introducing themselves to the babies. Like a courtly dance, rabbits and hares bounced around them. The canopy of the forest allowed individual rays of sunlight through the leaves, illuminating their path. Mother Bear was leading her cubs to the coast. Suddenly, howling filled the air. The rumble of running echoed from the edge of the forest. The cubs trembled, inching closer to their mother. They had yet to realize their position in this ecosystem, their power. Continuing on, the cubs began to get a sense of their status. Creatures held their breath and bowed as they passed, as if resting a crown upon the bears' heads. Their walk became a strut, chins held high. Breaking through a dense tree line, the cubs felt something soft and strange at their feet. Sand. A clan of bears waded in the water, snatching salmon and cracking clams. The family rushed to the bay. The cold, wet sensation of water startled the cubs, yet also enthralled them. The salty air filled their lungs and empowered their spirit. In their element, they stalked and lunged at unsuspecting fish, cramming their mouths full of earthy, buttery salmon. The cubs had loads of land left to explore, countless critters still to meet, and lots of learning to do. With their protector and mother by their sides, they had only just begun their journey of life.
My drawing shows spring as the time of year when we start heading away from winter as it nears its end and towards summer, though summer is still a while away. In the background you can see the winter storm and dormant branches break away to dandelions and leaves starting to cover the branches. The grass grows longer and the leaves get thicker and the birds move in as we make our way to summer. Then there's the three characters. Winter is the last of the seasons. He's at the end of his journey as he watches spring start hers. Spring is the first of the seasons. She's young, brightly colored, and exited to go meet up with summer. Summer is off in the distance, aware of spring's presence and waiting for her, but she's allowing spring to make her way to her all on her own. My drawing represents the events that play out during spring as the seasons change and it stops snowing, and the temperature warms up and sun comes out. In Ukrainian culture, we have a tradition that we do every Easter. Pisanki. It involves using candles, melted wax, vinegar-based dyes, and a special tool called a kiska to decorate eggs, creating the beautiful intricate eggs you'd often see associated with Ukrainian culture. I grew up doing this every spring with my family and I do so to this day. Easter, for me, is a very special day where we gather around a table, adorned with delicious home-cooked pudai and holopshi, the food seen on the table in this piece, to partake in a form of art that is still very dear to me, even if I'm not great at it. This is what comes to mind when I think of spring.